Oh boy, here we are, Dante versus Clive, a matchup between one of my favorite video game characters, one of my favorite video game franchises, and a character I like from one of my favorite video game franchises. I've talked about my thoughts on Final Fantasy 16 in one of my new media videos. Those are hours long, so to shorten it, story's okay, Clive's great, gameplay's really fucking boring on one note. You have like one combo in the whole game, or you have like two or three maybe, and then like some iconic abilities that just kind of do stuff. I don't know, the game didn't have much good flow to me, and while in the short term it's not too bad, I found in the long term I got really bored. That said, I found Odin to be great, but you get him so late that I just didn't get too into it. Final Fantasy still hasn't figured out how a combo system works, so their action game entries are some of the most brain-dead and strategically absent games in the series. Once you realize that you can kind of just stagger your way through every fight, it becomes easy. Devil May Cry, meanwhile, is one of my favorite series that only has two games I genuinely love, and then 1 and 4 are also fine, and there's 2. So, let me just get that out of the way. I like these characters, I know them very well. Let's start with those analyses. But before that, it's time for an ad read, and hopefully Torrian isn't watching this review, so he doesn't have to see what I'm about to do. Hey, Smokey, heard you're smuggling some contraband. I'm gonna have to take that.
Contraband? Nah, that's a sponsor of this review, G Fuel.
G Fuel? What's that, gamer fuel?
Of course, it's your all-in-one plant-based energy formula for true players of the strategic arts. It contains no carbs, calories, or carbohydrates. Plenty of antioxidants though. Look out for the caffeine.
I'm over the age of 18.
You still have to drink responsibly.
Do I look like the paragon of responsibility to you?
Yeah, fair point. There's over 50 flavors available in tubs or cans.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Watch this. G Fuel! Or just use code BLOODRIGHT for 20% off my order, and use the link in the description to get to it.
Whoa! What the? Oh, I could really taste the 50 flavors.
Wait, we'd even have a flimsy fight set up for this ad.
Yeah, I'm sure that was fucking funny. Dante's analysis is fantastic. It covers exactly what I love about him, his tragedy, his attempts to cope with it, his ties to family, and his reconciliation with Virgil, if you can call it that, with a strong focus on Virgil and also to a lesser degree Nero. I don't really have much to say, it's just all I could have asked for. I guess it's a bit weird to see them bring up all of Dante's DMC 5 gear, and then one thing from 3 and 4, and then go back to 3 for the story after that. It's a bit disjointed if you know about what things come from what, or even if you just pay attention to all the old Dante clips before cutting back to younger Dante. It's a bit weird. That's a small thing relative to how well Dante was handled, how funnily they gloss over DMC2, and just how they really knew how to capture what makes Dante and his game so special in terms of their writing. The name dropping of Dante's Awakening and Devil May Cry is also really well done. Clive's is also good. I don't really care as much for Clive's arc, but it's still great to see them cover it so well and his bonds with everyone. It's a very good analysis that basically covers everything, yeah. I mean, Final Fantasy 16 story, it's just one story, so it was probably a bit easier to get it there, though they had to compress a lot, because it is a big game. But it is definitely very well done, and I think they did it fantastically. I'm sure there's some people who want me to go into the lore behind the icons, because, I love time to talk about some mythology moments. But there's a lot of them, so I won't go any further than, the Ifrit are mentioned in the Quran and a few other books in the context of being among the Jinn. Jinn being spirits on the same level of humans that can choose to follow Allah or not. They're not the nigh omnipotent wish granters who can do anything like deities in the Quran the same way they are in popular culture. They don't really do that. That's more of a... There's one story in 1001 Nights about a Jinn that offers 3 wishes, but the way it's worded and the context of the story, it's not 3 magical do-anything wishes, because it's every 100 years he offers something worse and worse for those who free him. So first is, I'll give you anything you want that I can, then I'll give you as many riches in the world, and then I'll do 3 wishes, which doesn't make sense if it's anything. It's supposed to be going down, because the next one is, I'll let you choose how you die. So the 3 wishes is very much just, I'll do 3 things for you. And then, that was kind of taken, and there later on, after that, there was the addition to 1001 Nights in the story of Aladdin, where there's the ring Jinn and the Jinn in the lamp. Those can grant, true wishes to my memory. And then, later on, you'd get, Wishmaster, which kind of more or less combined that type of Jinn with the demonic, devils that trick you and twist your words. And now people think that Jinn actually meant a evil deceiver wish granter in Islamic folklore, which just is not the case. As to Ifrit, their true nature is really unclear. I've seen a lot of interpretations around. The meaning has likely changed with time. Initially, it was just a supernatural creature that was often malicious. I did the whole Phoenix dive in my Phoenix vs. Raven review. Garuda and Shiva are both Hindu deities. Garuda is the mount of Vishnu and king of the birds, while Shiva is the god of a lot of things and very important. In some beliefs, Shiva is the supreme god above all gods. Bahamut is a giant fish mentioned in Islamic cosmology, as a big fish within the ocean that carries the bull Kuyuta, which holds the unnamed angel that holds the world. Odin is of course the all-father of Germanic mythology and religion, the one-eyed god of a lot who sees all and will die in Ragnarok battling the great wolf Fenrir. And Titan is just named after the species of deity in Greek mythology and religion, you know, Kronos and stuff. Right, I also forgot to mention Ramu. Now Ramu is named after Lamu, which are a type of creature that protect households from demons, having been defeated and reformed by the gods when they were originally enemies. They are the children of like Tiamat and Abzu. However, Lamu has also been seen as a singular deity that is the ancestor of Anu. Now, while that's notable and that might be what Ramu specifically is based on, Lamu tend to not be super like incredibly relevant in a lot of stories, but that's what Ramu is named after. In design, not really, but he's got the beard. There you go, a quick summary, because if I spend way too long if I went into all those, but that's just the what you need to know. As for the fight, well, this is of course the episode that was the Torrian episode, though we should note Torrian wasn't solo on this. We should also be giving credit to Joe Vick, David Fisher, and Christina Christopherson. They did a fantastic job. There might be more animators that I just didn't see in the credits or weren't listed, but those four at least did a great job. You can definitely tell this is a Torrian episode though, at least in terms of a 3D episode with that season 1 to 5 vibe. It looks so different to the 3D episodes of today. We will feel like far more detailed environments and models, even more gorgeous and beautiful effects, and rather awkward facial animations, especially on Clive. Now, given Dante's here and we have DMC5, maybe that was intentional, but Unfortunately though, I think it's a hard episode to review because it's hype moments and aura of the episode. And like, yeah, what the hell else would it be? The episode definitely has its moments to highlight the characters. Dante coaxes out Clive into showing his power, which is demonstrating his more insightful and intelligent side, in that he is fully aware there's more to Clive than Clive's showing. Dante's death is accompanied by a peppy remark, seeing as not only is he probably going to fight his way out of hell, but it's also delivered in a way that kind of gets across the idea that his joke is his kind of way of coping with the fact that he's going to die. And also, to a degree, he can tell that Clive isn't a big threat to the world, as he might have thought from his initial job description that led to the fight. So, it's a matter of, you know, he's not worried because Clive actually isn't that bad, it turns out, but he is afraid of dying to a degree. Clive ends on a line about how Ultimate isn't going to be too hard to fight after what he just went through, which does give us the standard post-battle quip, but also gives a lot of credit to his opponent without coming across as patronizingly trying to subdue the side that might get angry at the result. That can happen where a character pays respects to their opponent, but it comes off as kind of but this one works. There's the funny comment about Virgil, there's a line where Clive mentions Joshua. Those both give a moment to bring up their brothers in very different contexts that reflect their relationships with them. That is, Virgil being a constant opponent with Dante, so Dante mentions him in the context of being attacked, while Joshua is a stalwart ally to Clive, so Clive mentions him as he powers up into Ifrit Risen. I like Clive just being completely flabbergasted or whatever the fuck a motorcycle is, and his snappy comment about Dante being a bard because of his usage of Nivan. Speaking of which, Dante combines a lot of his weapons in ways he never has before in this, and I don't really mind. It fits Dante, and Clive is also throwing out sword combos that he doesn't have in his game, so it kind of balances out. Plus, there's some really fun stuff. Combining Faust and Nivan is fun, using Doppelgang with multiple weapons and having them fight separately. Also combining Faust with King Cerberus in just that beautiful rotating shot that genuinely brought to mind the sickest combo in all of RWBY. And Clive makes good use of his iconic abilities, except maybe Shiva. I feel like while Ramu got one good showing with Judgment Bolt, he was using Phoenix and Ifrit throughout, and also Ifrit Risen is basically just those combined. Odin got an entire segment dedicated to that and also referenced Virgil. Garuda got to grab Dante in a pretty amusing segment where Dante dropped Cerberus, but still kept using his nunchuck moves just with a shotgun because he's like that. and Titan got to block and also do this kind of wimpy feeling stand rush that I think the sound design really failed to sell, and Bahamut of course got to fly around and hit a Giga Flare. Shiva just got this, and I don't know, it feels a bit weird. That's one of the most important icons to Clive behind Phoenix, Ifrit, and maybe Ramuh. Could have at least gotten the Diamond Dust off somewhere. It's about the only real missed opportunity in my eyes, and it's not a big one. At least when compared to like the two sick-ass rotating shots, one with King Serb as I mentioned, the other against Odin, with the fantastic usage of all of Dante's styles in believable ways. He uses Quicksilver to try and hit Clive, Doppelganger to get a big hit on him earlier, Royal Guard to block Odin like you would when against Virgil. It also feels like his Quicksilver moment where like Clive counters it is a callback to Dante vs Bayo, where Bayo used Witch Time and was surprised when Dante countered it. Also on the note of that Odin scene, don't think I didn't catch the reference to the Raindrops feat. The speed feat used in the last two Devil May Cry episodes that didn't get a direct name drop here, but did get referenced via this, much cooler. And then the last chunk of the fight takes place in space, which is beautiful. We don't get a lot of Ifrit Risen vs Sin Devil Trigger, but what we do get is excellent. Capturing the joint energy of the Bahamut boss fight in Final Fantasy 16 with the Mundus battle in Devil May Cry 1, but mostly the Bahamut boss. We also got some button mashing overlay, like, it's really well done too, that's crazy. That said, I wonder if people who don't know what move Dante's using in this moment would be confused at the ending here, where Dante goes for Judgment and Clive throws big smoldering death ball at him, because if you don't know that Dante's charging up for a big wide explosion, it kind of looks like Dante charges up and then Clive hits him with his attack before he can throw it out, and then also Clive friendly fires himself in the process. It definitely feels like that after Clive threw his attack, there should be a scene of Dante like releasing a burst of fire and then you cut to the big explosion. Then there's that ending, which admittedly does kind of feel very telegraphed as a Dante lost the moment he starts coughing up blood. I don't really mind here, it's the last 10 seconds. The death is a nicely done disintegration where you can actually see Dante's like clothes and skin burning, like his bones, that's neat, with a jackpot and a reference to Ultima's death. Oh yeah, the Devil Cries for More line is hilarious and perfect. Mr. Your Final Fantasy is over clearly learned a bit since then and managed to make it sound less dorky than in his own game. The fight's also accompanied by The Devil Within, a name that reminds me of the worst found footage movie ever made, and a track that is really good and fits perfectly. It definitely helps that there is just a Devil May Cry track in Final Fantasy 16, so they could play into that while still making it feel like Final Fantasy 16 pretty easily, so, you know, it's a great track. So that's Dante vs Clive, an episode not really warranting any analysis because it wears what it is on its sleeve. It's fun, it's creative, and it's wild. It captures the characters, it uses their arsenals expertly, and it has the exact same abrupt escalation the characters do. There's plenty of fun lines and engaging dialogue, and only a few moments where some things come off a bit weird due to how they're conveyed. I mean, when did Dante destroy his arm? Most of this is excellent though. Now, do I prefer it to Dante vs Bayonetta? Actually, I think I might. I didn't think I could prefer a modern Dante episode for a long time, because that episode's extended length and bevy of weapon and power usage was just not something Death Battle does these days. Seasons 2 and 3, at their best, used everything a character had, which for Dante, made his episodes so exciting. He uses a lot in that fight, while most of the episodes in recent seasons only use a handful of powers and are half the length. They're focused less on the combat and more on moments where things happen. While this episode is still, in terms of the fight, about a minute and a half shorter than Dante vs Bayo, it still uses all the powers fantastically, and while I don't think it quite has the level of fun as the Trish and John tag team segment, and there are some weapons I wish got to show up, Dante vs Bayonetta has an overarching issue where Bayonetta feels a bit too vulnerable, you know? Having only played Bayonetta 1 myself, this makes sense to me. Bayonetta does get more easily surprised when someone manages to actually throw hands with her than Dante, but it's still fairly out of place and the two should be big ballsing it the whole time. It also helps that I think bringing Torrian back, his style of animation, at least I'm assuming he led the animation team, obviously not just him, again, whole team here, but Torrian's style of animation and combat fits Dante so perfectly. Dante Clive doesn't have the character issue either. Both characters feel very in character the whole way, and that's a huge boon, as well as a bigger downside to Dante vs Bayonetta than the very small problems that vs Clive has. Yeah, vs Bayonetta also looks a lot worse, but that's a lame-ass criticism. Like, it's a decade older, probably had less funding than what Death Battle got from that Kickstarter now, and the same animator, but this time he's got a decade of experience and a whole team. There's a big difference, and if you're gonna argue that Dante Bayo's worse because it looks worse, come on. At the very least, I probably prefer Dante's voice in vs Bayonetta. The performance from Luca Xavier is fine at points. especially when he's just grunting and cheering, and his final line is greatly delivered. But sometimes he sounds a bit off to me, and his line that leads into Clive's Ifrit Risen sounds more like Cybertron Hotshot than it does Dante in Sin Devil Trigger. Will Dorenzi Martin does a great job as Clive, however. The accent's on point, deliveries are fantastic, Joshua's shout, mwah, perfect. Oh, and the conclusion of the episode was fine too. A little disappointing, if only because the main points they use to argue Clive's win don't really come across in the analysis. Like, you don't really get a sense of these downsides to Dante's time limit and regen as much. There's like a few offhand lines, but I feel like it's really awkwardly presented. It's like they were so focused on trying to hide the winner in the analysis that it makes the conclusion end up feeling disappointing. It doesn't feel like, oh, I didn't see that. Oh, okay, now I know what that means. Or a case of like, I knew it. You guys, that was great. It feels more like, oh, how the fuck could I have known that? I get the idea, but arguing that the character who can regenerate from a puddle loses because eventually he'll run out of regen, while the other guy has no good regen relatively, is kind of just awkward in how they present it. Dante doesn't become weaker when he leaves Sin Devil Trigger, like in the game, so it feels weird to potentially imply that they'd fight in Sin Devil Trigger and Ifrit Risen, eventually Sin Devil Trigger will run out, and Dante will be completely out of demonic energy and will be one-shot because his regen no longer works. Because that's just kind of not how Dante is really presented, like, in regards to Sin Devil Trigger in the game. Like, in the final battle, he recovers really quickly after being taken out of Sin Devil Trigger and is able to go back and do it again with no issue. And it's especially weird because they say Clive has better endurance, when really they're just saying that Dante's endurance will eventually run out, but Clive has a longer time limit to one super form. He doesn't really have better endurance. It just doesn't sit right, I don't know. I'm not saying I disagree even, just the presentation didn't feel like it sold what it was trying to. Anyway, short review this time, but banger episode, banger next time. Can't wait, exactly what I expected the finale to be. I'm very excited. I'm a big Yu-Gi-Oh fan, and yeah, Ash is fine. I did watch all the Pokemon movies, so I have an attachment to this little shit. Yeah, that was that. So I hope you enjoyed that review. It did feel nice to talk about Final Fantasy outside the context of Final Fantasy VII. That said, you know, I don't know what you know, because I started talking and I didn't have something for you to know for me to talk about. Yeah, so that was the review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought below. It was a fun episode. Very proud. Everyone give claps for Rena, little sis, for researching her first episode, kind of. And, you know, I hope you all enjoyed the episode, because it's a good episode and I like the characters. And, you know, now I think about it, has there been another episode this season where I've like really liked both? Oh yeah, of course, Ruby versus Maka. So yeah, this year's had plenty of good episodes and plenty of characters I liked. We are going on to Ash vs Yugi next, and admittedly I am very hopeful for next year to not have so many returning characters. Like, that is a thing with this year. You know, we had Kratos, we had Ghost Rider and Spawn, we had Master Chief and Doomguy, we had Hulk and Godzilla, we had Dante, we had Miles and Deku, we had Spider-Man and Deku. I'll go put credit on his name. Am I forgetting one? I'm trying to recall everything we've had this season. Like we have had plenty of we have plenty of new characters as well. You know, Simone, Kyle, Wily, Thomas Cat, Mahito, Shigaraki, Blade, Buffy, Clive, of course, Ruby, Maka, and that. But you know, with like 10 repeat characters across 12 episodes, that's nearly half the episodes have had returners. And what, that would have been like 3 that have been returner versus returner: Ghost Rider, Spawn, Miles, Izuku, and Hulk Godzilla. So like, 4, Chief Slayer. So, which that one's fair. It's a remake or a remaster or whatever. So, you know, hopefully next year we don't have that issue. The only confirmed matchups for next year, to my memory, do involve one with Aang Traveler and then also Gru Megamind, which obviously doesn't. So I'm very curious to see what they have lined up for 2026. If anything, because, you know, this year's also had the issue of like, we've known almost every matchup coming up ahead of time. I think the only exceptions were the ones that we only knew how the fight would be done, which are the Ismahawk and Torrian ones. And like, not Maito Shigaraki, we knew about that one. Deku, Spider-Man. That one was kind of a wild card, I guess. But, yeah. So, yeah, that's a hope for next year, but this is this year still. We got one more episode, and Ash Yugi is going to be a fucking banger, I'm sure of it. Yeah. So, I will be seeing you for that review, and I might do an end of year ranking, which might be started next year. I have big things I want to get out in December, so even just doing the review for Ash Yugi is going to be a big blow to the very limited schedule I have to get these two massive videos out. And by massive, I mean both will probably be over 3 hours long, full rankings, and I'm hoping everyone enjoys them and they get plenty of views because they've been year-long projects. Even more so than the analog horror video, which, hey, not a lot of people went to watch that. Please go watch it. It's underperforming. Fucking joke's on me for putting it out on my Halloween and not you guys' Halloween the way I did last year. I learned my lesson. Next year, we go back to uploading it on your Halloween and my November 1st. So, yeah. So, thank you to everyone scrolling by right now for supporting me on Patreon. You've been a big help, especially, these years, views have gone down for, I think, everyone on YouTube. Why am I still talking? Yeah, you can support me on Patreon, where you can get access to my Patreon-only Discord, uploads and reviews early, mostly reviews, and any of my big rankings come out early over there. And you can make me say stupid stuff, so let's get to it.
These Devil Hunter guys really gotta stop picking fights with Final Fantasy characters. Together we are the guy who killed Dante. Revenge is a weapon. 13 years I've waited for this chance. I've slept in filth, drank from the gutter, killed more men than I can count. Oh my god, Jill High! I cast Forced Airplane Mode.
Your Wi-Fi is connected, but has no internet.
Talk about a fantasy worth crying over. Ravioli, give me the... You will shut the fuck up! That was for the years of torture in Marvel vs. Capcom. Now what's Joshua gonna do? Oh shit, he's still got Virgil. Oh fuck, and Zero. What the fuck am I supposed to do about that? I'm a Nemesis main.
Have I played the reboot game? Now, it's a different question from if I played it or if I finished it. I have played it. I didn't want to finish it. I hear the Definitive Edition's better gameplay-wise. Like, some of the bullshit with, like, the weapon switching isn't there anymore. But, it's not, I don't like it much. I really don't care for the story. I think Dante's arc in that game is pretty lame. Even, like, outside the context of him being quote-unquote Dante, I just think the arc is not very interesting. Virgil, I think, is interesting, but it kind of goes off the deep end at a certain point. Like, it's kind of random. I don't know. It's not great. Thoughts on both franchises, though. As I said in this review, big fan of both of them. With Devil May Cry, DMC 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. DMC 5 is right next to it. I think if I didn't have, like, the nostalgia goggles for DMC 3, 5 would definitely be above. Interestingly enough, I'm not, like, huge on most of the other games. I think the first one's aged a lot, but, in other ways, it's also aged remarkably well. It's just, it doesn't have, like, the most robust combat system or anything. And then DMC 2's bad, DMC 4's, like, fun, but, like, the fucking campaign thing, and then, there's the reboot. I am kind of fond of the old anime, that's quite fun, but also, it's not a great representation of Devil May Cry, and I just didn't bother with the new anime. It doesn't look I think it looks kind of shit, just, like, visually, and I've heard of the interesting political allegories that it makes for some reason. Then, as for Final Fantasy, I am a big fan. My first and favorite, maybe, is Final Fantasy IV. Maybe favorite, definitely first. Love Final Fantasy IV and I love Cecil. Final Fantasy 1 is very broken, but it's enjoyable. 2 is just bad. 3, I don't remember much of 3, actually. Same with 5. I remember liking them, but not many details. 6, of course, masterpiece. 7, breathtaking. 8 and 9, I like are really on the dock for me to replay, especially 8 because I've got a physical copy of like the remastering of it, and I'm thinking like I really should just give it another shot because I don't have great memories of 8, but those are long ago, and I want to kind of reevaluate it with more like my modern sensibilities. 10 I love, 11 I never played, but frankly, who has? 12 is really boring, 13 is dog shit bad. 14 I never played, and it's just not my kind of game, so I'm not gonna. 15 is, like, I don't hate it as much as a lot of people do. I don't hate it at all. A lot of people hate that game. I think it's just middle of the road. It's okay. It's enjoyable for what it is. But, it has... It in 16, which I also like. I like a lot more than 15. They have this, like, persisting issue in, like, the combat systems being really basic and not carrying the length of the game. Like, 16 has some weird pacing issues. 15's pacing issues are crazy. With like, there's a certain point where you go to see your lady, I forgot her name, and then Leviathan attacks, and then from then on it's just plot, 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 plot. You get no break to do anything else, no pause for side quests. It's just plot, plot, plot after plot, and it's like it suddenly railroads you in its journey, and I think that's really awkward. 16 doesn't have that. It still has some problems. It's like a really weird time skip that I felt was kind of just awkwardly placed and odd, but it's mostly better. My biggest issue is that it has some of the worst world building in video game history. Instead of like working in naturally the world building, there's a character called Vivienne who she just fucking explains to you the consequences of your actions and what's happening, and so you feel incredibly detached to the world of Valisthea because it's like, why? Like, I don't care what's happening because you're just telling me bad shit's happening, It's like, there's no direct connection to what's happening to these people because you have to go there yourself, and if you're just not interested in going there to find out, you're just gonna miss out. And even as someone who was interested, there was stuff like, this is happening in this kingdom. It's like, I can't fucking go there and see what's going on. It does have Dion though, and Dion is peak. I love our gay dragon prince. But yeah, so I love Final Fantasy. The spin-off games I've not dabbled in as much as I probably should. Tactics I kind of wasn't too into, but I should give it another try. I do like that kind of asymmetric style now, at least. So I should give Tactics another try. I never played Mystic Quest. I don't think I'm missing out on much though. And I didn't get much out of Type 0. Big fan of the first two Dissidia games. The third one might be my least favorite Final Fantasy game. Not because it's the worst, but because just the personal beef. Don't make me level grind in a fighting game. Just major beef. And I played a lot of Brave Exvius, but I don't know, I think by this point I'm way behind on the story, so I'm never going to bother to try to get back into it. When I was playing Brave Exvius, Cloud wasn't even in the game yet. That's how far back I was playing it. I don't know if it was Cloud, it might have been Sephiroth who wasn't in the game. But, like, I'm trying to remember who I had. I know I had Terra. I had, Vanille, I think her name is, from Final Fantasy 13. No, it might not have been that. The girl who hangs out with, the Woaded Hope. And, like, I remember she was extremely broken at one point. I don't know if she still is. But, like, yeah, so... Anyway, moving on. Let's get past this long, lengthy segment.
It's Winter Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everyone. The lunatic, the lover, the poet, are of imagination, all compact.
That's a Shakespeare quote. Oh, wait, is that because I'm a Fate fan, and that's from A Midsummer Night's Dream, and Oberon is in Fate, and Oberon is an absolute goat, and I love him? Is that it? Is that what that is?
Would I rather be a fart smeller or a fart smeller? I'd rather be a smart smeller. Roses are red, violets are blue. You're a little bitch, and your brother was too.
Foolishness, Clive, foolishness. Anyway, that was that. God, would he do better against Virgil? Because Virgil in, like, Sin Devil Trigger can last way longer than than Dante in, like, the fight. Like, he can just kind of keep it on, like, indefinitely, I think. Would that be a worse matchup for Clive in terms of, like, him winning because he's going up against someone who, like, just by death battles logic, like, Virgil can stay in Sin Devil Trigger way longer than Dante can. Like, what does Clive do then when suddenly he's the one who's leaving his super form first? Anyway, that was that. I hope you all enjoyed. Have a good one, and take care, everybody.